Good evening, welcome to Safford City Council meeting. We have a full quorum present with us today. If you have a cell phone, would you please silence it or turn it off? It's up to you. Our Pledge of Allegiance is going to be offered by Vice Mayor Ortega, followed by our opening prayer by Councilman Lopez. Would you please stand and remain standing for the prayer?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can lower your hearts or raise them. It's up to you. Father, I definitely thank you for the many blessings you've placed on me, Father, and I ask for many more blessings for our community. I know we have many backgrounds and denominations in this valley, but I do realize that we're all believers. The majority of us are believers, and I thank you for that, Father. I ask for continued blessing on our police force and our staff, and certainly all the citizens and those that are in need with addictions, and that the children are safe in our schools and the military, and I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Vice Mayor, and thank you, Councilman. We have any comments on agenda items and none on the non-agenda? I was really looking forward to some of them. Brings us to item 7.1, which is the presentation by Safford Unified School District by Mr. A.J. Taylor.
Give me a minute just to hook up here. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of information with you this evening that's impacting Safford schools. My whole goal is just to share some information about what we're facing and something that's going to be on the ballot. If you didn't know it, Safford schools voted, the school board voted in June to put a M&O override election on the ballot for November 3rd. And part of this presentation is just to share a little bit about what's led us up to that. Right now, this is a screenshot from the Arizona Auditor General's website, and this is for Safford schools. And if you look at classroom spending, we spend almost 72% in the classroom. And the reason we have this up here is because we work hard at getting as much money in the classrooms for the kids as we can. And we're about 10% above our peer average in schools of the same size. Right now, and like I said, I'll explain a little bit more of what's led up to this, but right now on the M&O side of our budget, 90+% is spent on salaries at this time. A lot of that has, that's really been a straw that's broke the camel's back, is the minimum wage increase, and I know not just schools, everybody else has faced this as well. But on the M&O side, that also includes peoples and programs, our utilities, maintenance side of things, and technology. So that's the side of spending that we're talking about. This is a quote directly from the pro statement that the board is allowed to place by statute in the voter information pamphlet. I won't read it to you, but some highlights from this. We've faced reduction going all the way back to 2008, and I know cities remember that date. Any governmental agency in the state of Arizona remembers how the bottom fell out of our budgets at that time. Reductions for us in soft capital, which pays for books, materials, elimination of full-day kindergarten. Since then, the state has only funded half day for all of our kindergarten students, but we make sure that we kick in that other half because we know it's very important for our kindergarten students to have a full day of learning. That reduction has been about 85%. Key takeaway from this slide is talking about minimum wage increases, which I mentioned earlier. It's surprising how much that is in addition. Any of you that are dealing with city budget as well, I'm sure you know how that's working as well, but it's been in place, but we haven't received extra funding for it. And of course, we can't raise the price of what we charge for students. We get what we get. So this list right here, this is what we're looking at doing if the override passes. What are we going to do with that extra funding? Well, if you notice, if you go down this list, a lot of the words in there that are patterns are the words maintain or continue. So we're in a position where we're trying the best we can to function in the black and not hit the red. And it's caught up with us, and I'll explain what's caught up with us here in a minute. But if it passes, we would be able to maintain current class sizes, continue funding full-day kindergarten, supplemental programs, and elective classes, trying to continue to attract and retain quality staff. That's staying competitive to recruit teachers and keep the teachers that we have. Continue to fund athletics, school resource officers, which we're in partnership with you on for our school resource officer, and other academic programs, expanding our education opportunities for our students. So we're working really hard at doing that. And so obviously if we're in a shortfall like anyone else, we prioritize what we have. Well, when you're looking at 90% or more of our M&O going to salaries, that's either positions or programs. And that's what we're trying to keep funding. Part of this story, I talked about 2008. It was not voted to be renewed on in 2015. I was talking with some administrators today. I was a new elementary principal at the time when the bottom of the budget fell out, and I remember sitting in a room with administrators and our superintendent then saying, we've got to cut between $2.5 and $3 million out of our budget. And we worked hard at doing that and still needed to go for an override at the time, which was a 5% override, which was about $750,000 to help us maintain with what we lost to provide the best that we could for our kids. It was not renewed in 2015, and so we've made cuts. We've tightened our belts and tried to do the best we can, and it's starting to catch up with us. So what amount would the override generate if it goes to the voters? That right there, that top line, that's the increase in minimum wage. That's just the increase. That is not our whole hourly budget. That's just the increase from $8 an hour, $8.05 an hour to $12 an hour, which we just heard from ASBO today that, of course, with the inflation increase, that's going to go to $12.15 an hour in January. So that $665,000 is additional money that's going out that we haven't received funding help for. And then I talked about the failed M&O override right there. Just those two numbers together right there creates an annual need of about $1.4 million, and a 10% override would generate about $1.6 million to help us out and help us maintain. So this is the big question the voters want to know. And so my goal is to help provide information for everyone here in the room as voters, but also as city leaders. People might ask you about this so that you have the information. Average residential limited value, this is more in line with the assessed value, not the appraised value, is the average value of a home here is $96,040. That next dollar amount of around $48,000 is half of that. And if you went twice of that at $192,080, the assessment ratio of the 10% carries over to the right what that annual cost would be. So when we say we're 10% overrides on the ballot, what we're doing is we have three funding pots that we operate out of: federal dollars, state dollars that's per student funding, and then also taxes that are levied. and then we have to operate within that control limit. We're asking to operate 10% above that to meet our needs, and so this is what would generate that. So on around $100,000 home, the annual cost extra on property tax will be $132. Half the value of that home is $66, and then twice the average residential, so you're looking at around $190,000 home is an extra $263 a year is what it would cost. Getting it down to a monthly cost, that $100,000 home's about $11 a month, and for that $190,000 home, it's about $21.91 a month. For each $100,000 of local business value, it's an extra $247 a year, or $28.58 a month. And on agricultural and vacant land, which is assessed at a different value, it's taxed at $206 more a year and $17.16 a month. And again, that's on each $100,000 assessed value. So I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but provide the information. It's up to you if you have questions or you just want to leave it at informational. That's totally okay. I can only offer factual information.
Anybody have anything that they'd like to speak with Mr. Taylor on?
Sir, can you provide us with this slide, with this presentation?
You bet. Who would I send it to? It's also available on our website, but I'll send it to.
Tammy?
Okay, I can get your email. All right.
And you're wanting this on this ballot?
It's already set to be on the ballot for November 3rd.
Is this, I really hadn't seen this coming up.
Excuse me, sir. What was
I
that?
really hadn't seen this coming up in the valley.
No, it's well, part of it. We've been kind of isolated for a while with the COVID stuff, and also timing it right before ballots are mailed out and getting ready to be mailed in, and also when groups are meeting together to try and do it face to face.
Just concerned on how much knowledge people are going to have about this to either help you out or not.
Good point. Good point. I'm trying to get to any groups that I can. Some aren't even meeting. Like Lions Club, Women's Group, or the Women's Club, and I've spoken at some other groups that I've been able to, and you've graciously allowed me to speak here this evening, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
Any other? Superintendent Taylor, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
That brings us to item 8.1, which is the minutes. Motion?
I'll move we approve the May 11th and the September 14th minutes as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 8.2, the library youth visit policy. Victoria?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is to approve a new policy for youth visits. Basically, this is a policy that we've been wanting to present to our schools and our daycare centers, and we do get a lot of questions about when it's time to bring classrooms in to get a library card, and these are some of the services we offered. And we just wanted to put that in writing, so hopefully they can do some research beforehand. If they have more questions, they're always welcome to contact us, and we go into more detail. But we just wanted to put this in writing, so that way they were aware of what we do actually offer, and this is actually what we offer to the public. Are there any questions?
Council have any questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Need any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Victoria, you're on 8.3.
Yes, this is a request to update our display and exhibit policy. Basically, what we've done is just try to simplify it a little bit, make it a little more concise for the public to take a look at. We do typically have artwork in the library. We look to be starting that soon in the next couple months as restrictions are lifted and as the holidays pass and after the new year. So we wanted to just have something that was more up to date with what we actually practice. The big thing is we split the form and the waiver separately from the policy, so they could actually just print it and bring it into us, or if they have further questions, they can contact us. And we just tried to shorten everything just a little bit more, so it's a little bit easier to wade through. It's not so dense. Are there any questions?
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Sir,
Go ahead.
is there still more house cleaning, Victoria?
Yes. This is the last one.
No, you get it all cleaned out, that's fine. I just asking if that's what
Yes.
still this is.
This is a definite house cleaning. And what we've done too, we've taken out some of like the pricing in there. We didn't really want that. When artists come in, we just want them to exhibit their artwork and just for the community to see it. We're not in it for them to display it and to sell it. We just wanted to be a celebration of what the community, what's in the community and the talents that we have in the community. So this is just another cleanup.
Because I haven't read all of it. If they're wanting to sell it, they can still advertise that they sell them?
They can do that if somebody contacts them and says, I want to, I'd be interested in purchasing it. That is we do provide their contact information as part of the display. So if they do want to contact them and sell it, but we're not requiring they put it on the artwork itself. We just kind of want to make that separation a little bit.
So you're not really blocking anybody from selling if they can or will.
Correct.
I'm done, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to item 8.4, 8th Street discussion.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I think I'll start this discussion off by a presentation I put together. Kind of go over this project and the ins and outs of how we handle projects of this type. This is on 8th Street improvements on the Pine Avenue connection that's ongoing right now. Our project specifications, contract documents, and general conditions. The City of Safford, all City of Safford projects, when we administer these projects, use Maricopa County Association of Governments, MAG standards, in the design and the implementation of the construction projects. Any ADOT projects or federally funded projects that we have are administered, if they're ADOT administered projects, they use ADOT standard specs, which have some minor differences, but are structurally the same as MAG specifications. MAG specs and details provide us with the criteria that we are required to use when inspecting construction work of this type. All work performed shall be in conformity with the lines, elevations, grades, cross-sections, dimensions, and material requirements, including tolerances, shown on the plans and indicated in the specifications. Materials and finished product that are not in this conformity with the plans and specs shall either be removed and replaced, or if reasonably acceptable, allowed to remain in place at a reduced contract price. As this project moves toward completion, there have been many areas of deficiency in the curb, gutter, and sidewalk that have been rejected, removed, and replaced so far. To date, the contractors removed and replaced approximately 25% of the sidewalk, about 2,500 square feet that was rejected, and over 250 linear feet of curb and gutter that did not meet our minimum specifications or deemed unsafe. My job is to make sure that accepting any deficient work is in general accordance with the design intent and applicable engineering principles and will not endanger the public safety. Based on my assessment of this project, the sections of the project that are aesthetically unpleasing do not warrant removals, but do warrant a decrease in the contract price, reflecting a diminished value of the work. This is in our general conditions of the contract itself. The contractor is also required to repair any work found to be defective within 1 year after completion of the project. So if something comes up 6 months from now, they're still required to fix that, any deficiencies. Also have a few slides I wanted to show you prior to taking any comments or discussion. This is Pine Avenue construction projects. This is looking to the south during the grading, and then some curb work on the right there. This is 8th Street. This is down at the west end looking to the east on the left slide, and then right about Valley intersection looking east as well in the curb process. This is also on 8th Street. The first one's looking east, shows some of the sidewalk and the driveway aprons that were put in, and the contractor has worked with us to do all this apron work. That was an item that we also required them to do at no cost to the city. So they put in all these tie-ins for these private residents. There's another one from Valley during the paving process, looking to the east. There's 2 of them there from the same location. And there's a before and after of Pine Avenue. So this is looking north from about halfway down Pine Avenue. And as you know, there wasn't a street there to begin with. So this is standing about the back of where the house sat that was there before, looking towards the highway. Before when we started tearing the trees out, and then after when they just paved it. And this is one on 8th Avenue, or 8th Street, looking to the east, about halfway between Valley and the cul-de-sac. This is looking towards the cul-de-sac. You can all remember the concrete that was there that was used as base, and then the pavement project there at the end. So that's what I've got for a slide presentation. I'm more than happy to answer
Mayor, I have
any
a question.
questions.
Sure, go ahead.
Who headed this assignment? Was it you or was it somebody else?
This is my project. This has my name stamped on the plans.
Okay.
My staff, me and my staff inspect this project.
Okay, can I share some photos with you real quick?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I've been out and contacted with some of the residents, and
Hang on, you lost it.
I lost it.
There you go.
And my overall feeling on this is this was a poor project. I feel it could have been a lot better done. I see that we have some cement issues here with safety in residences where we need to cover where the sidewalk area is. We have manholes. Is this appropriate right here?
Let me just start. This project isn't complete.
Okay.
We're not done with this project. So we do have to go through, and we have to give them a substantial completion letter with punch list items. We're not done. Just because they paved it, we're not done.
Okay,
there's
so
a couple weeks left.
are we gonna be able to take care of all, I don't know, I think this is the disaster with the way this drain is.
So they haven't even set the drain yet.
They haven't?
No, the project isn't done. So they have to go in there, they have to drop that grate down to the grade on top of the catch basin. They'll cut out some of that asphalt, concrete, backfill around it, concrete around it. It's got 2 feet of concrete around it. So this is still part of the project ongoing.
Okay, and what about the residences that are in that area? I've been talking to Mr. Fuentes in reference to his residence, and he's had some cracking on his foundation.
I was just made aware of that this weekend, and I think city managers actually talked to him. I'm more than happy to go look at it myself.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to, Mayor, Councilman Andazola, I went down on Saturday night and talked to Mr. Fuentes. There's not cracking in the foundation. What there is there's some patching, and you can see it in that photograph where there's some light cement patching that connects the building to the sidewalk. And so it's not a foundational crack, it's essentially a type of seal that they put down. And I actually talked with Lance about that already, and we can go down and remedy that, but it's not a structural issue with the house. I just want to make sure we understand that.
Okay, and what about with Mr. Mendez's residence? Are we gonna be able to get that rectified?
Whatever and I've been talking to him since the get-go. I'm aware of a few things I need to discuss with him. find out exactly what we need to do to remedy it. And we've been in contact with every resident on this street and trying to, do what we can to make things right, go above and beyond. Some of these driveways that we poured aprons back in didn't have driveways to begin with.
Yeah, and I saw some of where the vehicles, some of the equipment drove through the residences' front yards and all that.
I agree. This project could have been, the contractor is who it is, and we're dealing with them the best we can per our contract. That's how we have to deal with them. They've been pretty good to deal with as far as when I ask them, tear something out. My staff asks them, they've been right on it and absolutely want to make things as right as they possibly can. They're by no means done. They haven't left town. We're not done. There's a lot of cleanup left to do, a lot of things to fine tune before they can get out of here and get final completion, and we'll be working on that.
Okay, we're not gonna be having debris mixed with the earth in front of the residences, right?
No,
Like cement
they're
and all
supposed
that
to,
that's compacted in there with it?
they're just supposed to backfill behind the curb and they'll drag all that out of there. They have to rake it all. It needs to be finished better than that.
Okay, that's my concern there,
Yeah.
and that's what I saw with the project after talking to some of the residents within the area, and
Well, ultimately, we want the residents to be happy, and that's our goal.
and I agree,
That's our
and
goal. It is, and that's.
I don't want to see no more. Do you think we're going to have any more flooding if we don't
I'll
get
tell
this
you
right?
what, when I got here 7 years ago, I've been working in this area for 7 years. First we did was we worked with the Cotton Gin to establish a retention pond in there. Then we worked with NRCS and the farmer to re-level that field to get all the water going back to the wash where it should be going. This should be the last step in that process. This was a challenge to design this project because everything's so flat down there. So we've got a high point about halfway between Valley and the and Pine that is, it's a small high point, but everything should break both ways and drain along the south edge of pavement to the low points and drain, keeping the water away from the houses. That was the main goal, to keep water away from the houses where it wasn't splashing up in the yards and flooding the houses. So that's.
Are we going to have any problems with Mr. Larson getting water?
Mr. Larson, I've talked to him on multiple occasions. I told him, let us finish. So what we did there is we thickened that sidewalk up for, I believe it was 30 feet each side of his fill station. So we actually, the contractor even threw some rebar in there. And he was going to come in after the fact and do his own thing on his private property, whether he pours another 4 or 5 feet so he can drive on it. He said he'll do that after we get out of the way. So I have had conversations with him.
Okay, are we going to have ADA requirements for these curbs too, right
Yes,
here?
those will have to be ground down, cleaned up. Everything should be put into ADA. You're only allowed a half-inch step, so if it's higher than a half-inch, they need to be ground down, meet ADA standards. A lot of slobber there on the ramp that needs to be cleaned up. Like I mentioned before, we're not done yet, so.
Okay, I'm just asking if we can get this problem rectified, and I don't want to hear, I want to hear we did a great job. I believe that the city's going to put their name to this. That's enough to it.
I agree. And my name's on this.
Yes.
This is my design.
Yeah, that's why I was asking
I want the
who-
best
who
project
edited
I
it.
possibly can. And unfortunately, we get the bidders we get, and we select them based on qualifications and low bid. And this contractor had nothing in their past to.
And who's the contractor again?
PAP is the name. PAP LLC they're out of Bayfield, Colorado is where they're out of. They've been doing work in Arizona for multiple years. They are doing work in Tucson right now. I think that's a part of the problem is they got scattered a little too thin. Doing work in Tucson that might have been a little bit higher value than what we had going on, so we kind of got, I think, spread a little thin, and it was hot, and they put out a little too much concrete at one time, and they were trying to get done, but all we can do is tell them what we would do and recommend what we could do, and if it isn't put in right, tell them to tear it out and do it again. And
Okay.
there's some sections they tore out 3 times.
Okay.
And
And I just want to make sure that we're taking care of our safety issues here too. I don't want to be sued. And
absolutely.
you can see there, that photo there. I don't want to,
Where's this at?
on 8th and Valley, I believe.
Yeah, they got to clean all this up.
Okay. Mayor, that's all the question I have.
Go ahead.
Mike,
Councilman Lopez.
you somewhat addressed, because I was concerned where the water was gonna drain to, and when I drove through there, I knew you weren't finished yet either, but there was concerns about how it was gonna drain with some of that roll curb and stuff like that, but And I don't know, that's a discussion, you hit lowest bid. And we have to accept the lowest bid, and that, we've bumped heads because of that sometimes, and I don't know what we can do about it to not always take things like that.
I don't believe we have to accept lowest bid. We
Mayor
have to have a
and
reason.
Yeah,
not to
Mayor and
accept
Councilman
lowest bid.
Lopez, it's lowest qualified bid. So we review the bids, we review that, they have to put in a statement of qualifications with past history of jobs. We check all their qualifications, we check their contract licenses, we check everything to make sure everything's current, call past projects and do reference checks. If there's something in there that flags them as, you know, you shouldn't be hiring these guys, then we go to our contract documents and go through the steps to not hire them and hire the next bidder. So by law, we're supposed to hire the lowest bidder based on lowest qualified bidder, but there are ways, if they're not the lowest qualified bidder, to get around that.
Yeah,
There
I know
is.
the way you write them, you can inject a little bit more in how you write them, because I know these guys, when they write, they want John Deere controls, so they write that in there, and so they get away from the others. Is there any more we can add from now on to the bids that'll keep us away from this?
Well, on a project of this, it's pretty straightforward. You know, you would think every general contractor that has a general contractor's license to do this type of work, you're hoping that they have the knowledge to do the work.
Yeah.
And the staff. And so there's really no reason, unless you find something in their statement of qualifications that would tell you not to hire them, that you wouldn't select the low bidder on a project of this case, because that's what we're wanting to do a project at the best economic value. You know, we want to save the city money, but we also want the best product at the end. You don't want, just because this one was a low bidder, we don't want garbage put in. We want a good project.
It seems like they tied you up, because it even seemed like we were using our staff to make their shots.
We fired their surveyor. We told them to get their surveyor out of here. And we're going to charge them for every hour that we put surveying for them. But their surveyor was out of Tucson, and we told them, get rid of him. Get him off the job site because he couldn't get anything right. And our staff has been setting construction staking for him, and we're charging them for it every hour they put in.
Mayor, well, it sounds like anytime there's been a problem, they've cooperated with you. And
Yes.
to your satisfaction.
Yes,
And at the end of the day, it'll be done right. That's where we're at.
That's what we're after. That is.
Well, the difference between your right and my right are completely off base.
What do you mean by right?
As Councilman
Acceptable?
Seal has mentioned, that is the worst concrete job I've ever seen in my life.
I'm not arguing with you.
I
on
think,
that.
and yet we've accepted it.
We haven't accepted anything.
Well, you've made them tear out you said 25%.
25% of the sidewalk's been tore out because
And
it didn't meet
you're
spec.
going to accept substandard workmanship.
If it meets the spec, which is to grade and it says broom finish, the only thing I've got to go by on the finish of concrete is ADA standards,
And I'm sure that
which is
MEG
a quarter
standards
inch.
does not show broom finish like it's broom
It
finish now.
doesn't show you what a broom finish is. It's very subjective.
So
I
you
don't
said
disagree with you.
you said the surveying company, the city of Safford, asked them to be ran off.
No, we told the contractor we didn't want them here anymore.
So therefore, the city has taken the full responsibility of the watershed of how this project's going to be.
We staked it. It's our project. We wanted to make sure it was, the stakes that were going in, I did not trust them at all. I trust my staff.
So
to
this
stake
company has also did work for us before.
They did First Park parking
And
lot.
did we have issues with them at First Park?
Not at all.
They didn't have to remove any concrete.
They removed one handicap ramp that wasn't put in per the plan.
And does their sidewalks look like the sidewalks down there on 8th?
Nope.
Huh?
They had a different crew finishing that one.
So it does not look like First
No,
Park?
it looks good. It looks good down there.
Who engineered the project?
I did.
The city of Safford engineered the
City of
project.
Safford engineered it.
So we didn't have any other sub-engineer on the project, just the
No.
city of Safford. You said that they have to come back in after 1 year and fix anything that you find to be substandard work or
Defective.
has fault.
Defective.
So are you going to hold a retainer fee on them?
We're not allowed to hold a retainer for that 1 year.
So your bids can say that, though. You can write a bid to
Yeah,
withhold
we
a
could.
retainer
We
fee.
could tell them we're gonna hold a retainer for
So
a
when we
year.
do work from here on out with a contractor that we have not done business for, I think the contract should have a retainer fee in it.
Okay, that's a good idea.
The other question is, right after you lay asphalt down, what's the purpose in going over it with an oil lay?
That's something I've done in the past. I did that on every project when I worked in Nevada. You get that initial asphalt lay down, and then if you hit it with a quick shot of oil, it just gives you that extra, get you to that first fog seal, that first 3 or
So
4
this
years.
is something that you had on your
This is
specs.
something I had in the specs. I also wanted them to hit, the cul-de-sac, tie it all together, get it all on the same schedule as far as oil freshness, basically. So it doesn't hurt it by any means to put the fog oil. It just gives it that little bit of a kick just right after it's laid down.
So if we had a sidewalk project come up within the rest of this year, and they did a broom finish like that, will you accept that sidewalk?
I've had to.
When was the last one? Because
I've
the
had-
last sidewalk I know we did was finishing up 8th all the way to Walmart.
I can go show you some sidewalk that Gila Cutout did that I couldn't reject the finish on, but it looks like garbage.
So the other thing is, did we not have a staff member down there?
Yes.
The entire time they were
Every day.
working?
Every day we had
And
staff down
so,
there.
is he trained as to what to look for and what
Yes.
what we expect?
Yes, he's trained. Yep.
So why
He's
was-
young, he's still getting experience, but I've been working with him since day one, and I have every faith in him to keep an eye on these guys. He's a concrete guy, he knows how to do concrete, and it makes
So
him
to
sick to see
him, was
these
that
guys.
acceptable work?
What's that?
So to him, was that acceptable work?
To him, it wasn't pretty, but it met the spec, some of it. The other stuff, he rejected, or I rejected, and it got tore out.
Mayor?
Go ahead.
I just want to say that, yeah, the specifications that we have to meet are basically the guidelines that we can enforce contractually. And like the finish issue that we talked about, and we were down there together, there were other issues where there were structural issues where concrete didn't meet up, there were safety issues. All of that was removed. And so when we work on a project like this, and some of these projects, it's not uncommon to have to go back and redo some things. I realize that, council in general is not real happy with this project. I don't think Lance is either. But when it comes to enforcing some of the specifications, there's only so far we can take it. So like with the broom finish, it may not be the best looking broom finish, I get that. But again, in terms of our ability to enforce the contract, there's only so far we can take it.
I don't know that I can agree with you on that. It's all determined upon how you're going to read the specs and how you're going to understand them.
The specs
I
are
get
empirical, they're
the
numbers that
same,
you
I get the
follow.
same type of thing every day in construction. Our city inspectors have standards that the city has said is acceptable.
Sure.
And then they also have their own personal acceptance. And sometimes, there's times when I still have to come in and add a couple screws here or there just because they liked it that way. It's fine, we have a workmanship like that, it's okay. But to me, I think when we have a staff that's down there, and I don't know how much would have been rejected had I not went to that project and called you and asked you to come down there, and you in return called Lance and had Lance come down there, and then all of a sudden we walked it, and then you guys start rejecting stuff all the time.
Right.
It would have been.
So to me, we
But
need to address that to where it's rejected right off the bat, and you don't have to be involved. That's the purpose in having a staff on site down there. I could understand if staff was somewhere else working and he was doing so me personally, Lance, I think you're spread too thin. I think you have too much going on, that a project where people down on 8th waited so long to get this project done. I'm 48 years old, and that was always a fun road, and this is the type of work that we're giving these guys that has been ongoing for 60-plus years. It's just, to me, I just don't understand it. I would like to have presented them with 8th Street completed when they waited so long to get done, with like a ribbon cutting and like what we celebrate when we open up a park. This one here, to me, just sounds like you just want to get it behind you and continue to move forward. And to me, I just don't think that, I think we need to really tighten up our range, and if that means you write a new spec on how you expect your broom finish to look, then I think you need to do it. Because that is just, to me, the first kid that gets on his skateboard is going to cut himself up so bad. And we're just going to say, oh, we're going to accept it. It's shoddy workmanship. We're going to hold back. I don't know how much you're going to hold back. I hope it's $20,000+ back from them, that I hope goes towards a fund that stays within that 8th Avenue project, so we can go back there and fix it when we have to go back in there and fix it. Because I think within that 1 year time, you're going to be going back in there and fixing some issues. But that's just me. So, you know what? I appreciate the fact that you went, you met with them. It seems like we've had issues all the way going through there. I know that as far as while I'm still sitting on this council, if I see that company come in, I'm pretty sure you won't even accept the bid, because we've had some workmanship with the issues with them. And I'm good riddance with them getting the heck out of here too.
We'll see how they finish up this project, Mayor. Like I said, I'm still working with them. I've been on, the owner's coming to town. We're gonna walk it. We're gonna do a final.
I'd sure like to be there.
We're gonna walk through it, mark some,
So would I.
some other things, and so when he shows up, we'll do that, and they'll finish up everything, and I'm hoping that we get everything rectified, and they wanna make it right. They do.
Anything?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Henry, if there's anything we can do policy-wise or bid-wise, or anything we can do to help you, let us know so we can make the changes for you so you can go forward with it.
I appreciate that, sir.
I
Mayor, I
think
have
the
a
only
question.
thing you'd be able to do is change your spec. You'd have to come up with different specs.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I have a question. I'd like to know Councilman McGoy's expertise. Is that cul-de-sac regulation for the fire department? Or a fire truck?
I haven't ever seen a set of plans, nor did I measure it, but I can get any of our trucks through there, if that's what you're asking.
Mayor and Councilman Angelo, that cul-de-sac radius is per our city radius, which I wanna fix. I do.
Okay.
That's another thing I wanna fix.
Okay.
It needs to be bigger. Our standard,
Yeah,
our standard.
Yeah,
needs to
I
be
was
bigger.
noticing that. so-
But that was put in at our minimum standard, and I've measured it, trust me, I've measured it more than once.
Okay.
I can't even turn my truck around in it, so. I will be bringing that to you eventually, to update that cul-de-sac spec, to make sure that's a bigger size.
Thank you.
Lance, thanks for the update. I knew it was a tough issue, especially when you've been having to be called on a weekend. But, you know, I think it's an opportunity for, as Victoria's done with us, done some housekeeping. I think we got some areas that we need to housekeep.
Yes.
And it gives us the opportunity to write our MEG specs, write our own specs, what, you know, using MEG, and then here's what we expect with the quote-unquote broom finish. Either a light broom finish, a heavy broom finish, whatever you want to call that. I call that like a Seattle broom finish, where the rains are coming, so we broom it and cover it.
Well, what we can do, Mayor Couch, is we use MAG specs, but we put supplementary conditions in there that change from the MAG specs. If there's anything specific we want to call out, we'll put a specific call out in our supplementary conditions and make sure it's specific. But once you start doing that, you know, if you get something for everything, we'll have a whole list of supplementary conditions, and that's fine. We've done that with our water for years, and now we're finally getting our own water spec, so that's good. And I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anybody have any other questions on, or any discussion on 8th Street? All right, thanks, Lance.
Thank you.
Brings us to item 9-1, ordinance 020-008. Susan, welcome back.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of council. So based on the comments at the September 14th meeting, I made a minor modification to the ordinance. This again is the second reading of now a revised ordinance. And I want to bring your attention to, if you look at the ordinance itself and scroll down to the first letter F, and it says fences and freestanding walls are subject to review and approval by the Planning and Community Development Department. So that language was added, clarifying that any of the fences and fence permits has to get approval by the Planning and Community Development Department. After that, I also want to bring your attention to E, that says fences and freestanding walls in a residential, commercial, or industrial zoning district shall be processed with a plot plan in conjunction with the zoning permit application. So those work hand in hand with each other, that they do have to have a plot plan, they do need to submit a zoning permit application, and then going back to F above, it does have to be reviewed and approved by the Planning and Community Development Department. So I hope that sufficiently addresses the concerns that were raised at the last meeting.
Susan, when you mean a plot plan, can they just sketch it on a piece of paper?
Yeah, generally, you know, when people come to our office and I talk to them, I will print out an aerial view, the clear aerial view that we have with Eagle Connect, and they could draw it on the aerial view,
Okay.
and that'll be
So
sufficient.
I'm just trying to keep the property owners not having to go and hire an engineer, go and hire a
Absolutely
draftsman to do it. They can just sketch it on paper, you know
That's
what's going on.
correct,
and make it
Mayor,
happen.
yes. We help people with that. We do the same thing for accessory structures, that we help people as much we can to make it as easy as possible for them to submit the documents they need to submit.
Councilman McGoy, did this answer some of your?
Yeah, I want to say I appreciate all the work you went through to satisfy my, whatever it was, but I really think this way people can get the best use of their property without causing any safety issues or flooding issues or whatever that, I mean, we'll get to look at everything if we think we need to, but we won't be invasive in telling them what they can and can't do nearly as much as we did when it was just black and white. You can do this and you can't do that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, thank you.
Okay,
I'll move we approve ordinance number 020-008.
have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Tammy, would you read it in, please?
Ordinance number 020-008, an ordinance of the City of Safford, Graham County, Arizona, amending Title 17, zoning, Chapter 17.12, supplementary requirements and procedures, and Chapter 17.76, site plan review of the City of Safford Municipal Code relating to fence wall height, location, and permit.
All right, thank you. And that brings us to item 10-1, resolution R20-025. That will be Alma.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I'm requesting approval of Resolution R20-025, a resolution to allow Mayor to enter into a loan agreement with the WIFA, the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, in the amount of $3,225,000. This loan will be used to fund the installation of the effluent line from the wastewater reclamation facility to the Graham County Fairgrounds. The use would be for irrigation purposes. So currently, the loan amount is $3,225,000. WIFA has approved a forgiveness of $900,000, so resulting in a net of $2,325,000. It is a 30-year amortization. I've included in your packet draft WIFA loan documents that is using a 3.4% interest rate. And so that, with that interest rate, we would be looking or anticipating a debt payment of $124,000 a year. However, I did speak with WIFA last week, and they closed on a loan last week with an interest rate of 1.87. They can't guarantee that, of course, for us. Our closing is still for a couple of weeks, but we hope to have closer to a 2% closing rate. And so the 3.4 is very conservative.
But you're going to do better than that.
Yeah, we are doing a lot better than 3.4.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and with a 2% interest rate, we're looking at closer to $104,000 annual payment rather than the $124,000. So we do anticipate that it will be closer to 2%. And the debt service will be paid from the water utility revenues from the Graham County Fairgrounds. And so currently, we have a contract with the Graham County, and their current rate is $2.20 per thousand, $2.20 per 1,000 gallons. Once the effluent line has been completed, then their rate will increase to $2.50 per 1,000 gallons. And also included in that contract is if the county does not at least use 45 million gallons per year, they are required to pay us a minimum of $110,000 within the year. So the $110,000 will cover the annual debt service. We have a tentative closing date of October 16th, and at that time, a interest rate will be calculated. Again, this resolution is approving and authorizing mayor to enter into the final loan agreement, which will be closing hopefully October 16th. And this resolution is required for the closing. Do you have any questions?
Now, you're saying that the 110,000 minimum that the county's gonna give us will cover a possible $124,000 payment?
Mayor, Councilman McGoy, the 110 would, if the interest rate falls at 2%. As long as the interest rate is 2.4 or less, the 110 will cover the debt service payment. And last week, the WIFA did close a loan at 1.87. So it's very likely that we will close close to 2%.
Sounds good, but if it doesn't, where are we gonna get the other 14,000?
So, Mayor, Councilman McGoy, any additional would be out of the water fund revenues instead of their general revenues, service revenues.
Okay, thank you.
So you're saying once it's complete, once we're delivering water to the county, they go up to $2.60 per 1,000 gallons?
Councilman Lopez, it's $2.50.
$2.50, so it
Per
goes
1,000
up.
gallons, correct.
And that doesn't cover the 14 that Mr. McGoy's talking about, possibly?
Councilman Lopez, the 250 is to guarantee that 110,000. So the 250,
right.
so at 44 million gallons at $2.50 is $110,000. So it's pretty much going to
So it
guarantee
goes
that.
up per 1,000, that's not a tier, it's not over 1,000, they pay this rate and they stay at this
Mayor,
rate.
Councilman Lopez, that is correct.
Okay.
It would be a flat rate of $2.50.
Okay.
And when does this payment start? When we take the loan and we're projected to get this water line in what, 2 years, 3 years? How do we make those payments in the meantime?
Mayor,
Or do they not start?
Mayor, Councilman McGoy, the fairgrounds is currently utilizing, on average, about 45 million gallons of water already, and they are paying the $2.20 per 1,000 gallons. And then the current contract allows that if they go above the 45 million, between 45 and 50 million, it goes up to about $2.75 per 1,000 gallons. Anything above 50 million actually increases to about $4.75 per 1,000 gallons. And so what they're currently paying will cover majority of the debt service. And you are correct, the debt service will begin next fiscal year. We'll begin to see and have to pay those debt service annual payments. And then the project, I believe, is to be completed in 2022, beginning in 2022. And so that is correct. The county's contract is very specific that their rates will not change to the $2.50 per 1,000 gallons until the effluent line is completed.
Oh, you got it worked out.
Alma, I'm sure all the engineering's done, and I don't know if you can answer this question, maybe Sil could. How many pumps is it gonna take for us to go from the wastewater treatment plant to the fairgrounds?
Mayor Counts, I actually will refer that to either City Manager Casella or to the Water Manager Seal. My questions are on the financing, but he can speak to the project.
You know what, I'd like to see a presentation. Would that be easier for you on our next meeting? You just show us the line, or you can just send it to me later? How do you want to do that?
Council, we can definitely do that. Just to answer your question real quick, there's a projection of one pump site, similar to the operation to get the water from the treatment plant to the golf course.
Golf course. And approximately, what does that run us a year to run that pump? Because we won't be entering no agreements with the county, so our citizens will be paying that pump bill. Do you have an estimate on what that runs us a year to pump water?
Mayor Couts, I have seen that number. I would have to go back into my laptop to get it, because off the top of my head, I don't remember.
I think just a quick little presentation when you do water stuff, that you can show the map of what you've drawn up. I think Councilman Lopez would like to see that too.
Oh, yeah.
He's down at the bit, right? To see
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay.
Mayor Couts, council, we can definitely do that for you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Any other discussions on this item?
You
Not
feel-
Go ahead.
You feel like this is working out like you had planned it from the start?
Mayor Counts, Councilman Lopez, I would say yes. The goal was to achieve a annual payment debt service of $110,000. I do believe that the interest rate will come in positively for us, and so I do believe we will achieve that debt service payment that we were looking for. I've also discussed with Morgan other options as far as paying the debt service down with grants and other revenue sources, and so he's actually looked into some of those options as well, which will help. And I know United Way was another possible funding source, and so we would want to, of course, bring that even lower with any other opportunities we can find.
Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Mayor Couts, members of council, I just wanted to say that when you look at the CIP, the way that this item was budgeted, there was $1 million in there for grants with $2.5 million anticipated in debt. So we're going to end up at $2.3 million over 30 years without any inclusion of any kind of supplemental income at all. So we actually got this to the point where the payment being made by the county basically equals the debt service that would be utilized to build the project. So in terms of how did we make out, we made out a lot better than we anticipated from the beginning. I mean, the original plan had $1 million in grants to try to get us where we wanted to be, and we won't even need that. Now, if we do get grants, we can use that to supplement our payments, but we're way ahead of where we wanted to be, and including getting the 30-year, which was a big part of getting that debt service payment down. So we were able to get that stretched out over a long 30-year period because the life of the line is in excess of that. So I think we made out even better than we hoped for.
Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 11.1, LED lights.
Mayor Couts, council members, tonight we're asking for approval to award a bid for our LED streetlights to Gray Bar Electric Supply in the amount of $195,708.88. They were the low bidder. We had 8 bids with a pretty good range. The high bid was a little over $300,000. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about this project.
Anybody have any questions on the street light?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I anticipated you'd have how many lights we've yet to do. Because I know we've done the highway, we've done some in town now, and what the price is per light.
We have approximately 862 lights total in the city. We've already replaced about 200, and we've ordered 650, and they came out to about $300 a piece.
Quite a bit, but you don't have to, the life of the fixture, what?
There's a lot of advantages towards these LED lights. The life of they're estimated about 10 years. It's about double what our normal lights are going up. The efficiency is about 60% better. The light quality is better. I mean, there's just a win-win with these LED lights. And they're matching the ones that we put up on the highway, and they're compliant with the scope too.
So you're saying we're gonna only use 60% of what the other one did in consumption? So we're saving 40% on each light consumption?
For the usage, yeah. And some of the other advantages are, we're gonna only order one light, where in the past we were ordering 3 different sizes of lights, so that'll help out our inventory in the warehouse. because these lights are adjustable. We can adjust them to the 70s, to the 100s, to the 150s.
For more luminance in.
Yeah, it's a wider,
in-
brighter light.
Yeah, so you can increase the looms like intersections and reduce them down where you don't need the consumption.
For like a dusk of dawn light in somebody's yard, right?
Okay, because the intersections, of course, you want a little brighter and that kind of stuff. And you can do that within this fixture.
And right now, we also have 3 different styles of lights out there. We've got a high-pressure sodium, a low-pressure sodium, and the LEDs. This way, we're gonna be uniform with everything.
Warehouse only gonna have one thing to
One light to carry.
go like that.
No.
They're gonna go on our arms?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're just ordering the light fixtures.
That's
So-
all I have now.
Dan, that answered my question. You'll be the one, the city will be putting them on.
Yes, sir. We'll put them up
And you're not
in-house.
gonna- Are you gonna put them all on at once, or are you just gonna put them as needed?
We're gonna get a project and go through and replace them as fast as we can.
Gotcha.
We'll get a couple of guys on it nonstop.
You gonna, is it 120 or 240?
Either way, they can go from 120 to 277.
Well, if we go 240, does that help our consumption
It
even
does.
more?
Yeah. We'll hook them up 240 where we can.
Entertain a motion?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Reports on the P card. Does everybody have a chance to look at them? No problem with the P cards? How about expenses over 5,000? How about revenues over 5,000? If I'm going too quick, stop me. How about prosecution report?
I always have a problem with the P cards, but it's.
Well, let's hear 'em.
It's just the way it is on some of it. you know?
No, it's not just the way it is.
No, I like it better. They are explaining it better to where you can understand what it's spent on, and that's a good thing.
Okay.
You know, some of them you kind of go like that, but, I'm living with it.
Okay, so you're happy with,
I'm just tightwad.
you're
so,
tight,
you know,
well,
I'm happy
it's all
with
right
it.
to be a tightwad.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so moving right along. Since nothing else, we're gonna go to item 13, announcement of current events. Anybody have any? I do. I've asked, City Manager John to maintain all of our festivals that are coming up. I've asked him to keep the focus, to keep continually moving forward with these activities. And I'm hoping and praying that Ducey will come to his senses and stop this 50 gathering, and that he will open this up. I don't know if you guys got the report, but we've been very, very well kept on our masks. I know that Safford had 3. Today we got the report, we had 0. Thatcher had 0, Pima had 0. I've been watching those levels pretty close, and I have not seen us over 5. But the thing is, Safford is more than just Safford. So when they consider Safford, they're considering Artesia, they're considering Solomon. Did I say that right? Solomon?
Salamon.
And so the range is bigger, but I'm very well pleased with the direction it's going. I'm very well pleased to see Walmart actually opening up all their doors and starting to move people around more freely there. So seeing all that makes me say, hey, I want to see these festives happen if we can. Because especially coming towards the end of the year, it's all about the kids. It's about the freedom of Christmas and just the expression of that whole activity. So at this time, I'm just going to ask that, and if the council has anything that they don't like about that, then they can bring it back onto the table to discuss. But as of right now, I've asked John to continue, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have anything else under announcement of current events?
And Mayor, who's our liaison with the Downtown Association?
I think it's my neighbor to the left.
So he'll keep us up to date too.
Go ahead, John.
I had discussions today as a result of our recent discussion, and so there's a subcommittee meeting on Wednesday. I talked with Danny Smith today and kind of voiced some of your concerns, so hopefully what we can do, working with them, is try to develop some kind of a plan, a go, no-go date, so we know when we're starting to get to that point where if things don't change, can we create some kind of an alternative so that there's something that we can do? Or do we want to stay with the traditional model and, depending on what the governor does. So that's going to be injected into the conversation, and we'll be meeting on Wednesday morning. And so I plan on being there and having a discussion with them to let them know and see, we're going to do what we can to make them happen.
Gotcha.
That just brings,
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
that just makes me think about the one that we did we didn't do it, but the Lions, maybe we should talk to them, the Field of Honor. A lot of people have already been asking me about, are we gonna have that? So I'll kind of start checking on that because it was very well received and it's a tradition. I hope.
Vice Mayor, that was brought up, and I said, most definitely, we want it.
Yeah.
And I said, I directed them to see John and say, make it happen. Whatever they needed from us, let's make it happen, because there's nothing better than seeing that lawn covered and
That was
decorated.
beautiful, yeah.
You might want to talk to Mr. Lopez about that.
And also,
Yeah, the other Mr. Lopez.
the other Lopez, Chief Glenn, Bonita Street and Second Avenue, speed possible, the speed trailer taken to that site. Had a couple phone calls of complaints and stuff, and I just wanted to make sure that it was read into our minutes so that they understand that we're doing our due diligence as officials up here. So Bonita Street and Second Avenue. So if you can drag that trailer up there and see if we can't deter some of those speeders going around that area. Anybody else have anything? Go ahead, John.
Mayor, I just thought I would take an opportunity to officially welcome our new Assistant City Manager, Douglas Hill. I know you guys who were attending the groundbreaking at the police department probably had a chance to meet him. Some of you have not. Doug had his first full week last week, and he had his christening this evening, so at the council meeting. So if you haven't talked to him yet, please, by all means, introduce yourself. So he's hit the ground running, and he's already working on several projects, so I'm hopeful this will be a good experience.
Did you let him know that he's supposed to take all of us to dinner afterwards?
I did.
But he's not supposed to use his P card either.
And I told him that as well,
You did?
because I said Arnold will find it at the next
He
meeting.
would,
so-
yeah, the next
Yeah,
meeting.
well,
So I thought,
I'll
yeah.
look for it.
Yeah, so.
All right, so.
I let him know.
I'm excited, and you did post it, right? Okay, perfect, great. All right, if nothing else, we're gonna move on to item 14, report on operational items. Morgan, you're up.
Mayor and Council, this is in August of 2020 monthly operational presentation of the Water and the Sewer Department. In the month of August, Bonita Creek produced 81.7 million gallons. The wells produced 63.9 million gallons for a total of 145.6 million gallons for production. Bonita Creek was 56% of that total production. Our consumption was 125.9 million gallons.
Morgan?
Yes, sir.
Real quick, can we go back that one slide? Then I'll have, we're not using Bonita at full extent, right? We still have some we could use from there if we wanted to draw.
Mayor, Council, so that is correct. We are currently throttling back Bonita Creek about 100 gallons per minute. That's due to the galleries. If we take too much out of it, we do notice a drop in water table or water level. So we're having to manipulate that valve to hold back water to help Bonita Creek out.
And so you're saying you see the difference in our water tables, which are resorts from our wells, correct?
In Bonita Creek.
In Bonita Creek.
Yeah, so if we do choose to draw more, we will see an effect in Bonita Creek that may produce more air infiltration in that gallery system. So we are kind of adjusting it as we need it.
Okay, perfect. Councilman Lopez?
Now, he answered that. I didn't know if the 56% was 100% of Bonita, but you answered you're watching that. You're throttling, you're utilizing what you need to.
Mayor Councilman Lopez, that's correct. The 81.7 is 100% of Bonita Creek, but 56% of total production for August. So Bonita Creek produced more than the wells.
Yes, sir. Councilman Seal?
I know in summers past, you had to vacuum the lines there at Bonita Creek to get the air out of them. You probably did again this year. Was it a typical year? Was it worse than normal, or?
Mayor Councilman Seal, we vac that system out twice a week. Actually today, it took 46 minutes to do that, to get it up to the point that we want. If we were to draw all the water we could out of Bonita Creek, I've had it take up to 3 hours of me sitting down there trying to vac that up. So that's why we throttle it back to reduce the time of maintenance down there. In relative to past summers, it is better than some that we've seen. Any other questions?
Thank you.
This is our typical well graph, where you will see the 2020 level here on the right-hand side. As far as water tables go on a daily check, we're not having any issues. I didn't have any concerns over this past pumping seasons that we would have to turn one off. We are coming out of the pumping season. Historically, July has been our highest consumption month, and I am noticing the consumption to go down, so we will start seeing wells kick off and our tanks filling up.
Makes you breathe good.
What's that?
That makes you breathe
Oh,
good.
yeah, yeah. So this is showing us the new meter installs from year to date. This is January 1 till now, or till August. So in Safford, we installed 46 meters, Thatcher 22, County 17, for a total of 85 new meter installs. That would be, so Safford was 54% of that, followed by Thatcher at 26%. And so I looked at...
Out of those, were those residentials or were those commercials as well? Do you have a
Mayor
number
Kaus, that would have included all of them. However, the commercials are very low numbers compared to that. I would guess maybe 5, somewhere around that number. So I wanted to know where all the construction was happening, and out of the Safford meters, 26 of those, so 30% of the meters were in Copper Canyon. That was the subdivision responsible for a lot of the growth in Safford.
Is there new activity going on Montana right now, south? I thought I saw them digging trench out there.
Mayor Councilman Lopez, that's correct. So Montana Vista Phase 2 is underway. That is a contractor by the name of Forest Right that is installing that sewer. They'll be installing the water. And then also, I get apparently all the curb and gutter and all the electrical that needs to go in there. Ruben Mata is our inspector for the water and sewer.
It's pretty tough.
Yeah, he's good at what he does. So for compliance sampling, for last month, all we had was our typical monthly microbiologicals. We take 25 per month. Out of the 25 that we took, 0 were positive, which is a good thing. We don't want any total coliform coming out of our system. The 14th Avenue project, the crews continue to install the 12-inch effluent and the 12-inch water line from Relation to 8th Street. The projected finish is December of 2020. Just a note, from Relation to the highway for that reuse line, we decided to go in-house for that stretch, and it knocked off about $700,000 from the engineered estimate from that reuse. So that was one of the ways we were able to get that loan down, doing it in-house.
Morgan, do we have anybody injured on that excavator cave-in on that project right there?
Mayor Kautz, that's something that I have not been aware of. When did an excavator cave in?
The excavator fell in the trench.
I'll have to get with my
Isn't
supervisor.
that the one? Isn't 14th in front of the high school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Then I wanted to touch a little bit on the sewer collection and treatment system. One of the challenges in the sewer collection system is our fats, oils, and greases. This is not a picture of our system. However, this is kind of similar to what we have seen. This is due to commercial or residential people that dump their grease down the drain. It does go in as a liquid, but in the collection system, it coagulates, as you can see on the sides here. That's a buildup of grease. If it gets too bad, then it will completely plug that collection system and cause a sanitary sewer overflow. And our ordinance, our fog ordinance, is definitely helping out with that. With our commercial business required to have a grease interceptor in there, we have seen a noticeable change in the grease that we see at the treatment plant because of that. So the effluent and reuse system, in the month of August, we sent 19.5 million gallons to the golf course and 700,000 to the river for a total of 20.2 million gallons. And that would be it. Are there any other questions?
The question asked too is, once the county gets going, are you gonna have enough effluent water for the golf course and the county?
Mayor Cowles, Councilman Lopez, so last year we discharged about 60 million gallons to the river. This is a hot month, and so the storage facility, the lagoon system, is going to be critical to that, because as of right now, it's either going to go to the golf course or the river. If we have that storage facility, the old lagoons, then we can stockpile the volume that is needed. There's several different reasons why it would go to the river, for just overflow or them taking some compliance samples. They have to turn the reuse pumps off. That was a low month of putting it to the river, but we have seen a lot higher months.
There's not a certain amount we're required to put in the river.
No, sir. All the effluent that we can get up to the golf course is a bonus to us. That's just that much less that we have to use for potable and that we have secured. That's one major benefit, in my opinion, of getting that effluent to the fairgrounds, is being able to use that potable water for other things.
And on that influent line going to the county, can others tie onto it?
At this point in time, Mayor Cowles, Councilman, I would not encourage anybody else to tie on at this point, so that we can kind of fill out what the golf course is going to need and the fairgrounds. However, if our volumes do increase, then yes, we could have parks and the high school or whoever else tied onto that.
Perfect. Anybody else? Morgan, thank you.
Thank you.
Alma, utility billing update?
Mayor and Council, tonight I want to provide you with a summary of the utility payments. I've had some customers and some council members have some questions regarding some of our payments, and so I thought I would just give a quick overview of that. So the topics for discussion are utility bill payment options, our customer account by payment type, and specifically I want to speak to the lockbox. So currently, the business services processes utility bills for just over 9,000 customers, and that includes 18,000 meters. Our staff processes and mails all utility bill statements in-house. And in the last 2, 3, 4 years since I've been here, we've looked at other opportunities to provide different methods of payment options for the utility customers. We want them to have a secure and convenient payment options available to them. Our current payment options include cash in person at City Hall. Customer can pay by phone. The 1877 number is an automated system, or they can call directly to our office, which is the 432-4060. Customers have the option to do auto pay, which is automatically withdrawn out of their account, and customers can they can set up their preferred payment method, and they can choose a specific date that they want that to be withdrawn from their account. And so then that would happen every month on the same day that they choose. The Express Bill Pay, we have, that's our online payment processing, and they also offer the option for an app, so you can download the app on your phone and make payments that way. The drop box is located at City Hall, so a customer can bring in a check and drop their payment off at City Hall. We have the Walmart, which we just started a couple years back. They do charge a convenience fee at Walmart, so it's $1 if they want it processed within 3 to 5 business days. And then if they want it expedited, it is an additional fee, and that would be $1.50 if they want to expedite that. And a customer can mail their payment, which beginning in April is mailed to our lockbox. So on our stubs on your utility bill, the payment stub does have a return address of the P.O. Box 29075 in Phoenix, and that is correct. And I'll speak more to the lockbox on my last slide. So this is for informational purposes. So I wanted to show you all of our customers, the preferred method, payment method that customers are currently using is credit cards. So you can see this is a 12-month time frame, and credit cards here is about 4,300 customers that are currently in this last month using a credit card option. And that's credit card whether they're paying online or they came in and used your credit card and so forth. The electronic payments, that includes our ACH, EFTs, our Walmart electronic payments. The customer processes a payment online using their checking or savings account and their routing number. That would be an electronic payment form. And then finally, we have the checks, cash, and lockbox are the 3 least used payment methods. Obviously, in April and May, you can see during COVID, our doors were closed, and so cash did decrease at that time. But we began using the lockbox in April, and so we can see that customers have utilized the mail-in option. It averages about 300 customers a month that have been using that. So what is Lockbox? So Lockbox is a service provided to assist with processing our payments that are received by mail. So currently we use Chase Bank to process our Lockbox. The mail is, so when a customer mails in the bill, the mail is taken to Phoenix to our Chase Lockbox. Chase gathers our mail, they open it, they process the checks and make a deposit into our Chase operating account. And then they scan all of the checks that have been mailed to us and all of the stubs that were with those checks. They upload that file onto a secure portal, and then our staff goes in daily and pulls that file and uploads that into Cassell to process the payments to our customers. So it's more automated. So why do customers have to mail their payments to a P.O. Box located in Phoenix? Chase Bank, their closest lockbox processing center is located in Phoenix. I do want to point out that currently mail in Safford, when you mail something in Safford, it is taken to Phoenix where they have a processing center and they sort the mail, and then the mail comes back to Safford. And so in my next bullet point, what are the benefits of using a lockbox? That is one of the benefits, that it is more efficient. The mail is going from Safford to Phoenix, and then Chase Bank is gathering that from our lockbox and processing them immediately. And so it is quicker and more efficient. Chase Bank does offer a secure website, and it's a portal that we use with them. And so we know that our files are secure within their website. It also helps with electronic document management. We no longer have to have the physical paper there in our office, the checks that were mailed to us or the stubs, all of that, retaining those documents and having to find space to store them. Now it's all electronic, and we can go online and view any of those documents that are mailed to us. And what is the City of Safford currently paying for the lockbox service? We currently don't pay for the service. Chase Bank offers earnings credits, and so those earning credits, they can only be utilized to offset any of our bank fees. And so we earn enough credit with them that it covers all of our bank fees. Does anyone have any questions?
Alma?
Yes.
Are there costs to the city for any of the other payment options? Like the express bill pay, are there costs
Yes, Councilman Hemphill, there is cost, yes, express bill pay, and I don't have the dollar amount off the top of my head, I'd have to go back and verify, but yes, there is a fee to use the express bill pay. Those fees are not passed on to customers, and so we do cover those fees to use the express bill pay. Also included in there is the 1877 number for automated payments. Most of these processing centers, they charge a flat monthly rate and then a per transaction fee. And so, yes, all of the others do.
Just those two.
Yes. And Express Bill Pay does offer a lockbox option, but again, they would charge us a fee for it, and with Chase Bank, our earnings credits cover all of those fees, and so we don't pay anything for those.
Emma, what is the fee for, per month, for credit cards and for all of it, as what Councilman Hemphill was talking about? I know that, I don't know that number exactly, but I know we talked about that in the past. Don't just give me a number and we won't hold you to it. Is it 10,000? Is it 8,000?
So, Mayor Katz, we pay on average about between 8,000 and 9,000 on credit card fees. So those are the processing fees.
So
Just on the credit card processing fees.
That doesn't include the other two?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
it does depend on how many then. It's not a flat fee. It depends on how many transactions.
Mayor
Okay.
Councilman Enfield, that is correct. It depends on how many transactions we have in the month. But I did look at that at our last month, and I want to say it was about 8,500 is what we paid in the last month for credit card fees, so.
And we absorb that?
That is correct. We do not charge our customers.
Has it ever been considered to incentivize the automatic payment for the customer to save some cost to the city?
Mayor Councilman Hemphill, yes, we did, for the auto pays, we did a promotion during April and May billing, I believe. And with that, there was about 240 new customers added to our automatic. And it was a $10 incentive. They received $10 off of their bill if they signed up for the auto pay.
Each month or just?
No, that
for
was a
one time?
one-time credit that they received for signing up.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments?
Thanks, Alma. John, you have 5 minutes, and then Lance has 5 minutes.
All right, I'll probably use even less than that. I just wanted to give you an update, Make a Difference Day. As part of rolling out our graffiti abatement program, we're supplementing the city activities with volunteer work. So I got a hold with Tim Linden, so we're working with him and CCAB. In fact, I'll be on the phone tomorrow. We're gonna try to do something valley-wide if we can. So the city of Safford will be doing graffiti abatement, but Pima and Thatcher and the county may have other projects. So CCAB's trying to coordinate amongst all of us to be able to have activity. It'll be October 24th, so we'll be out getting rid of graffiti in Safford, and then whatever other projects that come up in the other communities will be going on that same day.
Anybody have any questions for John? Or you can ask him anything you want. He said it.
Ask me anything I want.
Not you. Vance?
Thinking.
Oh, good, we get to watch movies.
Oh, it wasn't me?
No.
That's good. There we go. All right, Mayor and Council, I'll be quick as well. I just, most of you are aware that we've been battling graffiti around town the last few months. Public Works has purchased some graffiti removal products. We did a couple test runs around town. We bought what's called the world's best graffiti removal product. There's two separate ones we bought. We bought one that was for concrete block walls, and we bought one that was for sensitive surfaces, more like buildings, cars, signs, that kind of thing. We tried it out on some surfaces, and it worked pretty good, so we got a little bit more. This is just mostly a slideshow to update you on some of the spots we've hit. This is behind Green's Furniture, a little before picture. That's also just down next door to Green's Furniture on the back of another commercial building. And keep in mind, we got with the property owners, got consent to attack this and try and remove it first, and if we couldn't remove it, paint over it. There's your result. Green's Furniture's on the left there, and then that other building on the right, you can see it's kind of took a little bit of the sheen. We didn't paint that, that's removed. I was happy with it. The stuff that had been on there longer took a little bit more work, but the guys were able to get that off. This is a block wall that we had in an alley that we tried the other product on. It worked fairly well. We pressure washed it after the fact. That's why it looks a little bit wet there in that picture on the right. And then this, our brand new wall at Firth Park, got hit. And this was before we had any product. We actually hit this wall with some degreaser we had on hand, and then pressure washed it, and it did a pretty good job as well. We got on it pretty quick. Also just want to mention that we had a couple spots, the Economy Inn on Main Street. We contacted them, got permission to do it. The next day, somebody had already painted over it. And then over on Central Avenue, we were trying to reach out to that homeowner, and that fence got covered before we could even get to a hold of them. So residents are actually, getting ahead of us too, and we're going to continue to fight it, continue to work on it. We have product on hand now that'll work on different types of situations.
Lance, just to let you know, I saw some graffiti, Stevie, across the street from the IGA. It's right there into that Trump sign. It's in black, okay, so.
Are you the one doing all this graffiti?
Hey, I gotta keep them busy.
Well, I think we do now have an app that, or just send me a text, but we have an app that we can report it now.
Yeah, and that's what I was hearing. I'm gonna get together with Matt, I believe, so I can start using it.
Yep, and we'll keep on it. We'll keep it taken care of. Any questions on graffiti abatement?
Maybe next time you'll have some arrest report along with this.
There you go.
I'm hoping we have an arrest report and we can, get damages, cover some of the cost of this stuff that we're applying on the fence and the manpower, so.
Based on that, do we have any kind of a reward system if somebody turns somebody in for?
Not that I'm aware of. Chief might know. No?
$500 comes out of your fund.
And then mention the landowners, residents, whatever. The city should send them a thank you note for taking it upon themselves. Little things like that mean a lot.
They do.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I hate to do it, but I guess we should adjourn.
All right. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.